And yes, past Arthur, it was these two apps running together. As soon as I run over like the on the page, the ads, it fucks up my recording of the two. Like my phone is not doing it well, so just FYI. So we've come to the apostolic Bible polyglot. Okay, and if you would like to use that, it's going to be right up here. Also, if you click the like like I said, the Septuagint, it's going to be all Greek, so you can go to the click right there. It's the ABP, Apostolic Bible Polyglot. So we're going to go to the words that we see in verse 1 and see if it's similar to what's being said in the New Testament in that Greek. It's not the same Greek. It's 809 and 4229. So let's put these two things together. An indecent thing. So 809, indecent. Ooh, looks like I went back. I didn't click backwards, but it looked like it went backwards. 809. There we go. Close that ad before my fucking phone crashes. Shapeless, unseemly, indecent. So an indecent thing, lacking proper appeal, uncomely, unattractive, lacking respect because improper. Ooh, lacking respect because improper seems important. It says wives respect your husbands. So if a wife does something that seems that disrespect them, okay. Inelegant, shapeless, presumably a derivative of echo. All right, thank you. Now we're going to go to the next word, thing. Okay, so, oops. It is a deed, an action, a matter, an affair, a thing done, a something in she does an indecent thing. It says because of an indecent thing, but it's something she does. She does something indecent, unclean, right? As we see in the fornication or the other ways to translate this word. A deed by implication, an affair by extension, an object, material, business, matter, thing, work. Pragma, kind of like ligma. um, Michael knows you can go ligma. And so we've looked at those words, and just for academic sake, we're going to go right over here to certificate of divorce and prove that the exact word here that's being used is aposion. Again, that's Greek's strong Greek 647 aposion, a bill of divorce. A bill of divorce. So it's real important that, we are on track. So we've tried to identify the indecent thing. It's something unclean, as translated by some. It's an indecent action. He finds in her some indecent action or habit, I think is another way to um is that another way to I think yeah, uh, the habit needed to accomplish something, to accomplish what is necessary. It's like it comes from proso, accomplishing by a regular practice. Accomplishing by a regular practice. So she has some indecent habit that she is doing. It is in the practice of the pragma. Oh, man, I can't help but want to say ligma when I say pragma. Michael Knowles, ligma. I don't know why. Anyway, we're going here. So we've established those two terms pretty much. But there seems to be a little bit of murkiness there in the language. I mean, if we have Jesus in the New Testament, we already know he's referring it to being something sexual in nature, something indecent, some type of fornication, which includes things like adultery, incest, um, promiscuity, and so on. So these something sexual, so an indecent habit, some unclean sexual thing that she's doing, okay, that she's doing. It's very important that she's doing something, not something from her past, but rather a habit or something she's doing right now. That's why he would become unhappy with her. Okay, if she should not find favor before him. Wonder why. Okay, it's blowing my mind because if I may take an aside here as we navigate back to Matthew, um, there has been a lot of women lately that have been calling themselves Christian, but in actuality have been not Christian, um, and they live their life in no way like a Christian should, according to First John 2 3-6, which says, if you say you know him and do not follow his commandments, you all are a liar, and the truth is not in you. A reference to the law and being the light. There being no light in you for those who do not follow the law, because the law defines what sin, because sin is breaking the law, according to 1 John 3:4. Indeed, sin is lawlessness. What is lawlessness? To be without the law. Is it man's law that we're talking about? Breaking man's law is sin. So if I carry a fucking cherry popsicle in my back pocket in Kansas City and I get arrested for it because it's on the books, some weird crazy thing. Oh, if I have a strawberry sundae in my back pocket, is that a sin now? That's freaking ridiculous. Okay? No, it's not man's law. It's God's law that defines sin. And it's not just the Ten Commandments, because the Ten Commandments doesn't talk about incest or bestiality or slavery or rape or so many other things that we could continue to discuss, but we don't need to. Because if those things aren't in the Ten Commandments and we practice those things and know those things to be sin, then it's a part of God's law, obviously. But I mean, I'm just coming from you from a rhetorical place. I don't mean to be like Michael Knowles. If you watch this channel, I've academically broken this down many times and will continue in the future, as well as the many people in the Hebrew Roots movement, the Messianic movement, or rather the Hebrew Roots Awakening and the Jewish Messianics, and many of the Bereans, and some Seventh Day Adventists. There's tons of information on all of this that needs to be sifted through, and a lot of that can't be done because of dogmatic, like, if you if you go to and investigate in another church, you're not really a Christian. Well, you're not really Catholic. Oh my God! If you don't believe this one dogma that's a man's dogma here in the Catholic Church, well, you're not a real Catholic anymore. It's like something that I've experienced with martial arts, where you're like, oh, you trained at this other person's school. Oh, you're a traitor. Oh, I'm a martial artist. What the fuck? What the fuck am I? I'm supposed to only learn here in this one place? What is going on? You know what I mean? And that could be an argument for another day to discuss. But here, there are these women that are acting completely out of line with the law. And I went from a tangent to another tangent. and they are like, well, I just converted. I converted to Christianity, and they still have an active OnlyFans. They're still actively porn stars. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. You don't get to be a contract killer. You don't get to be a serial rapist. You don't get to be a fucking prostitute ongoing if you are going to be a child of Yah, a child of God. You can't fucking rep that's literally breaking the commandment, do not carry my name in vain. It's not fucking saying, "Oh my god, that isn't taking my name in vain." The number of like psalms and proverbs and just prophets screaming out to the sky saying, "Oh my god, help me. Elohim, Yahuwah, Lord of hosts." Calling out to him is cannot be a curse. It's ridiculous. You know, this anachronistic colloquial use of the words. I'll link my harsh language video here, as always I do in these videos, because people are like, "Oh, you use the word fuck and all this other stuff." I know that I'm going off in a deep dive of a tangent. I know, as you know, I got Matthew on the screen already, but the point is this: when you become a believer, you have to follow the way, and you have to hold yourself to the way. And these people are like, "Oh well, you know, you could be a cheating wife and have a child of another person, and the man is obligated to stay with you. He's obligated to stay with you." So God was obligated to stay with Israel, then why did he divorce her? Israel was divorced by God. So Catholics, quick question, um is God breaking his own law, or maybe you have the fucking wrong interpretation? I mean, we've got here so far, and we've step by step tried to define each word and what is happening in each little section that's leading up to Matthew 19. Like, why don't we just fucking take the time to know what it means, instead of just like, oh yeah, someone told me, you know, like the Bible praises people who took the time to look at the scriptures every day and test it and make sure they understood. It doesn't pray people that said, "Oh well, I believe because this other person said 700 fucking years ago, and now I believe it I believe it so zealously that I call other people fucking retards because because I believe so hard. I believe so hard." Okay, so let's go to verse 16:18 in Luke, because that connects directly back to verse 5:31 for some reason. So um, let's see here. So we go to the Berean or the NIV, and it'll say, "Anyone who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery. He who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. He who marries a divorced woman commits adultery." That makes sense. Anyone who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery? Is that? But if we go down to the Berean literal and the KJV, look, changes a little bit. Now, all of a sudden, it just says, "putteth her away and marrieth another." It doesn't say divorces, because divorcing is one, putting them away, and oh, I thought I had it on the side here. I thought they had it on the side here. Matthew 32, Matthew 32. Well, it's two things. It's putting her away and giving her the certificate of divorce. Hmm. So we go to the context, but it's easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for a single stroke of a pen to drop out of the law. Okay, looking at the context. Looking at the context. But it's easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for a single stroke of a pen to drop out of the law. So Jesus, okay, well, let's make sure. Let's make sure it's in the red text, right? Yep, look, it's in the red text. Jesus just said not a single stroke of a pen to drop out of the law. It would be easier for heaven and earth to pass away. Guys, so is he somehow contradicting the law directly after saying that not a single stroke will pass? All right.